I am a senator representing Pakistan People's Party, a ruling party in Pakistan, which has passed through political victimization by the extra constitutional forces, particularly from martial law governments. During these periods and during the periods of non-democratic governments, hundreds of workers were tortured and killed during the custody. And this is really unfortunate with the party that our founder leader, Sheikh Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, was tortured when he was detained by the General Ziaul-Haq in the 1970s. And the second leader, Sheikh Benazir Bhutto, the twice elected Prime Minister, was tortured in the General Ziaul-Haq era. And I'm not sure whether you are aware or not, she has the hearing problem because of the torture. So she used the hearing aids. And even our President Zardari was extremely tortured in the year 1997 to 1999 when Mian Nawaz Sharif was the Prime Minister, and they trying to cut his tongue with a sharpened blade. So it was a famous story which was flashed all over the world. So we are the victims of torture in Pakistan especially. And my father also was killed in Karachi. I lost my two cousins in bomb blast in Karachi when Benazir was arrived in 2007. So, as revealed by our MPA, that we had a meeting with the Asian Human Rights Commission in Karachi, and we discussed several points. And as I am not a legal person and I don't have the legal background, I'm purely a political worker. So we already discussed this issue with our senior parliamentarians and legal experts, and also some other colleagues from the different parties. So we are waiting for their feedback, and there is a simple point in my mind that we are just trying to clear it from the other laws, the existing laws. So if there is a conflict in two laws, it will benefit the criminals and it will benefit the forces those are involved in the torture. So the courts in Pakistan, even the higher courts, do not see the torture as crime, but helping the perpetuations of torture by ignoring the complaints of torture in the custody. The examples of such ignorance of torture by the courts are the cases of disappearances. It is observed that when a man is released from the disappearances, he recorded the statement before the courts and complained about his torture. The higher courts just ignored it and has never tried to implicate the law enforcing agencies. In keeping him incommunicado and tortured him in illegal detention, the weaknesses of the courts have also helped the torture to perpetuate in the country. The torture is used in the country to get the confessional statement for bribery and for political victimization. Even the Chief Justice of Pakistan was tortured when he was dismissed by the General Musharraf. But after the restoration, he cannot go against the police officers. The police officers are promoted. There are many ways of tortures in country, so I don't want to go into details. So we are seriously concerned with the systematic torture and ill treatment in the custody and are working on criminalizing the torture as in Pakistan. There is no law against the torture in Pakistan Penal Code. The word hurt is used in the PPC in place of torture, which is no way is the substitute of torture. The Constitution of Pakistan is in its Article 14B. The torture is mentioned, but it is even not prohibited. It says that no one subjected to torture, but the definition of torture is not available. Since we are in power since 2008, we have been trying to make reforms in the law and to uphold the human rights and the norms which can lead to the rule of law. The government has made 18th Amendment, 19th Amendment, and 20th Amendment in the Constitution, through which all those ordinances and amendments were withdrawn from the Constitution, which were made by the different military governments. The power of the central government was decentralized and provinces have been given maximum autonomy, even for making legislations. The ban on trade union activities were restored and it was made independent in its true form, which were snatched by the military rulers. The freedom of expression is fully allowed as according to the international norms. There is no restriction on the freedom of media, which has no precedent in the history of Pakistan. No political victimization of opponents, not a single political prisoner is in jails of Pakistan. And this has never happened in the history. Rather, our own sitting ministers and parliamentarians are facing the courts. The government of Pakistan has ratified in 2010 the ICCPR and ICESR and Convention Against Torture (CAT). A new era of respect of human rights were introduced. Though some undemocratic forces tried to stop this process by making several reservations on the CAT, but then government realized and withdrawn the reservations in 2011. This is a landmark initiative from the government on its determination to respect the human rights. Since the inception of the government, the parliament have made many laws, particularly on the rights of women, workers, etc., to protect their rights. Like, I want to mention a few laws. There is the Domestic Violence Prevention and Protection Act 2009, the Guardian and Wars Amendment Act 2008, the Public Defender and Legal Aid Office Act 2009, the Protection Against the Harassment of Women at Workplace Act, Removal from Services Special Powers Ordinance 2000. This was the ordinance introduced by General Musharraf. Under this ordinance, anyone who is a government employee can be removed from without assigning any reasons. Benazir Income Support Program Act, the Sacked Employees Reinstatement Act, the Prevention of Anti-Women Practices, the National Commission for Status of Women Bill, Industrial Relations Act 2012, and the most important one, the National Commission for Human Rights 2012. In all these legislation, the most important is the formation of an independent and powerful National Commission for Human Rights. First time in history of Pakistan, the government and the intelligence agencies make answerable to a strong National Commission for Human Rights. The higher judiciary has failed to deliver much in the cases of disappeared persons, allegedly the army personnel involved in these abductions. So this Human Rights Commission is very much empowered and very much independent, and hopefully it will serve very better. So since August 2009, the death sentences practice has been stopped in our government and trying to amend the laws to abolish the death sentence. But we are facing strong resistance from extremist groups, right-wing parties, and judiciary as well. And the present government restored the judges sacked by the General Musharraf. Judiciary is independent as much as they ousted the elected Prime Minister. They are free to appoint judges of their own choices, and government has no role in the whole process. The present government is facing problems due to judicial activism, even few people calling it judicial martial law in Pakistan. The judiciary exceeding its limits over the parliament's authority and trying to prove that parliament is more supreme. The judiciary is more supreme than the parliament, and judgments of the Supreme Court can overrule the articles of the Constitution. We realize that in past history of our country, judiciary remained allied with army rulers and usurpers, but we hope that we will overcome the habits of legacies of the dictators. So where is the problem? The present government and parliament is doing wonderful work as far as the legislation is concerned, but the problem is proper implementation of the law. The reasons for non-implementation of is irregular army interventions, which strengthen the right-wingers, those not in majority and always lost in the elections. These mindsets are sitting everywhere in judiciary, civil and military bureaucracy, media, etc., and are not ready to accept the real democracy to flourish. They always remain busy to derail and defame democracy and democratic forces, but this time they seem a bit weaker as they could not succeed in their motives in the last 4.5 years to dislodge the present government despite of intrigues and conspiracies. I hope Mrs. Dr. Margaret would have been here, because she's looking a very good supporter of the independent judiciary, as I am also the supporter of the independent judiciary. But what we are facing in Pakistan, I think this is a violent judiciary. This is a wild judiciary. And even we are facing the violent media and violent media. So independent of judiciary is a different thing. But if a few days back, our Chief Justice said in an open speech that the concept of supremacy of the parliament is now gone. So this is what we are facing. But I think today we are facing problems from the media and the judiciary. But in future, I think this negativity of these both sections, media and judiciary, can be a very positive in the protection of the human rights. Because media is exposing everything. They are targeting the government, but sometimes they have some clashes with other stakeholders, and they try to flash the news which are not against the government as well. But I think in future, when some other party govern the Pakistan, and that time it will be very difficult for the judiciary and the media to go back to their position. So they will have to remain independent, at least to show the people that we are independent. So in the independence, they have to show some issues they normally don't want to show. So I hope today we are facing the problems, but in future, I think we will be in a better position to protect these laws, and everybody in Pakistan, even the strong critics, appreciate the legislation what the parliament and government is doing. It is wonderful. It was never happened in the history of Pakistan, even in the regime of the Benazir Bhutto, in the times of the Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. So the present government is doing wonders, but we are facing these problems from different sections of the society and different parts of the government, different parts of the states. So hopefully, I think we are not better than all the delegates representing the countries, but from Burma or I think Hong Kong or China or Thailand, we are better than these countries in case of the democracy. Thank you very much.